If you ever had any doubts about the Albanese Labor government and their pathetic, confused weakness on national security and border protection, well, you got your confirmation today. The disgraceful situation and public position that's lasted now for almost a month, that supporters of the bloodthirsty Islamist terrorist group of Hamas would be allowed into this country so long as their support was merely rhetorical, well, that has finally been corrected by the Director General of ASIO, Mike Burgess. Now, Burgess has blamed others, in particular the media, for this mess, but it was all his own doing, of course, when he told the ABC that rhetorical support for Hamas would not prevent people fleeing Gaza from being allowed into Australia.
If they've expressed any support or sympathy for Hamas, is that a problem?
Depends on the what that looks like. If they're supportive because they want their homeland, if they're giving financial support or material aid, that can be a problem. And obviously we take each case on its merits in the context of the information we have before us.
But if it's just rhetorical support?
If it's just rhetorical support and they don't have an ideology or support for a violent extremism ideology, then that's not a problem.
Now, some of us said straight away, this could not stand. This was not right. This nation could never allow supporters of Hamas into this country. If it had happened in the past, it was a disgrace, and we needed to ensure it will never happen in the future. And Burgess has now clarified his position, effectively admitting that what he said was wrong, but instead of owning it, he blamed the media. I've watched with interest over the last couple of weeks how people have chosen to distort what I said, the ASIO Director General told the ABC. Well, that's just rubbish. You saw exactly what he said. And if he thought he'd misspoken or he'd been misinterpreted, he should have issued a statement at the time, not let this ugly controversy go on and on and on. The opposition was very clear about what the national security response of an Australian government should be.
I don't think people should be coming in from that war zone at all at the moment. It's not prudent to do so, and I think it puts our national security at risk.
Anyone who supports Hamas should not be allowed into Australia. It's as simple as that. It's a pretty straight line.
I think if you're a Hamas supporter, whether it's rhetorical or otherwise, you're violating all principles of the character provisions of the Migration Act, and your visa should be refused on that basis.
Yeah, look, this is hardly rocket science. This is just about showing a basic understanding of national security priorities and how to manage immigration. And now the ASIO boss has laid down what he should have said right at the outset and what should have been the clear position all along. If you think terrorism is okay, if you think the destruction of the State of Israel is okay, if you think Hamas and what they did on the 7th of October is okay, I can tell you that that is not okay. And from an ASIO security assessment point of view, you will not pass muster. Burgess told the ABC in that statement. Yeah, of course. But the trouble is he's taken more than 3 weeks to clarify that statement. And more to the point, for that entire time, the Prime Minister and his government have done nothing to clarify it themselves, nothing to correct it or overrule it. At no point did Anthony Albanese say that supporters of Hamas would be banned. He was happy to go with the ASIO boss's statement or misstatement, the statement that's now been repudiated by the ASIO boss himself. Even when the Prime Minister was questioned repeatedly in question time, asked to make sure any supporter of Hamas would be blocked on character grounds alone, Albanese did nothing to reassure the public that Hamas supporters would be barred from entering this country. This, to me, is an inconceivably weak position. This was a government all at sea on how to manage this issue. More worried about offending people fleeing Gaza than laying down an obvious ruling to protect the security and social cohesion of this nation. It was only today, after Burgess finally corrected his own statement, that Albanese has fallen into line.
Mike Burgess is a big boy. He can speak for himself, and he has. And his comments are there for all to see. Mike Burgess keeps Australians safe.
Dear, oh dear, hey? There are two important outcomes from this absolute cluster mess. First, the good news is that we can finally be reassured that our security agencies will block any potential immigrant who supports Hamas, or for that matter, any terrorist group. And second, we've seen that Anthony Albanese and Labor have no instincts on national security and border security. They've been like rabbits in the spotlight for more than 3 weeks, not even understanding and certainly failing to declare that this nation should always block the entry of terrorist supporters. How hard is it to make that clear anytime, anywhere? It's their solemn duty to put this into practice.